the Honorable MP from RJD, Manoj Kumar Jha, sir, to go ahead. Sir, I've heard a lot about you from mostly from TK Silungovan, sir. And also, he also shared the same book, How to Lose a Nation in 7 Steps. And I also got in touch with the author. And I also told her that you spoke in the parliament about a book, and she was very happy. And in fact, she has also agreed to come and speak in TPF. Maybe in the coming weeks, I should also organize one event with her. Probably, if you have the time, then you should also be more than happy to join.
Thank you so much, Dhanidharanji. Thank you so much. Ilangavanji is a very good friend, and we not only share the same wavelength in terms of commitment to ideology, we also share a room in parliament which is known for a very different reason. I'll not tell you on air what is that room and the character of that room in parliament. Anyway, Mr. Gandhi, Parvati Bhai Puz, and Sandeep ji is no more there with us. But, one of the nostalgic feelings I always had reading about Dravidian movement or Justice Party and Dravidian movement in that sequence, one of the regrets I always had, why North India did not have that. Coming from North India, and I as Sandeep ji also said, that we have had lots of movements in North India, but not a kind of movement which was a cultural movement, which translated into a political movement. And as a result of which, Tamil Nadu in particular, and several other states in South India could shape its priorities and politics. So I would begin with a regret as a North Indian and somebody who also has a regret that I'm not able to read and write or understand Tamil. And my association with Tamil language is that while preparing for a civil services exam, I had spent lots of time reading about Sangam literature. Probably all those who believe that India, there is a tendency of late, one nation, one taxation, one nation, one election, one nation, one language, they should read the Sangam literature and the rich heritage. Probably they would cut a very sorry figure, but they will not read. It is not in their habit to read and reflect. And we can only have some sympathy and pity on them. Let me tell you a very short story which I use for my students, and I love that short story. There was a king, and the king had a son, and nothing predictable. I mean, it's all predictable. We always had a king in our short stories, and the king always would have a son in the stories. And the stories would always about king, kingdom, kingship, never about a rickshaw puller or a vendor or a farmer or agricultural laborer. So that king, he lost his wife and started nurturing his son. He used to tell his son three things right from the beginning while narrating him bedtime stories. The one was, there are no princes in the world, number one. Number two, there is nothing called an island in this world. Number three, there is no God in this world. The boy grew up, the prince grew up with these stories, and when he reached the age of 15 or 16, and that's a very dangerous age, all of us have passed that age. That's the age when you start questioning the unquestionable. That's the age when you seek to go beyond what is prohibited. So the boy ran out of the house and reached a place. He saw water everywhere, but while he was standing, where he was standing was a dry land. And then he saw some beautiful creatures. Then he saw somebody coming from the other side. So he asked that gentleman, where am I standing? The gentleman told him that you are standing on an island. And what are those beautiful creatures? Those are beautiful princes. Then the boy said, then you must be a god. He said, I'm the god. The boy was flabbergasted, came back home, refused to speak to his father, and the father asked him what happened. Then he told his father everything. The father said, look, you have been fooled. Those are not princes, That was not an island. And the person you met was a trickster. He was a magician. The boy was doubly flabbergasted, came back again after a couple of months to the same place and told him, look, you are lying. I'm not on an island. These are not beautiful princes. And you certainly are not God. You are a trickster magician. The person said, yes, I'm a magician. But you have a tendency to live under a magical spell, whether it is of your father or of mine or of anything. The purpose behind this story, narration of this story, is that generally people in this world and in this country have a tendency, a natural proclivity to live under a magical spell, be it of a strong leader, be it of a religion. Now, the contextualization of this short story today evening is that from Justice Party to the Dravidian movement, what they did, they gave people an instrument, a weapon to question the magical spell of a leader, of a system, of a social organization. And that's why things started changing in the Dravid land. And as a result of which, we are discussing it today evening, the entire trajectory of that movement today. Having said that, I would highlight a couple of things. The greatest, and I would not, Elangomanji is there. People will talk about achievements. I'm worried about some of those challenges in front of the very idea of social justice. The first challenge is a regressive proclivity, a regressive tendency in our body politic, in our cognitive thought, is gaining ascendancy every day. As a result of which, the myth of a strong leader, number one. Number two, brazen attack on federalism. Third, brazen attack on the very ideas contained in the constitution. And let me share it with everybody here. Ironically, all of us share the same ideological wavelength. So it's almost talking to the convinced. But the fact is, never before in the history of independent India, we have seen such brazen attack on the very foundation of the idea of India. And what is idea of India? Idea of India is plain and simple. The issues listed in your preamble, in our preamble, is in essence is the idea of India. Can we be comfortable today about equality? Can we be comfortable and very a sense of protection about fraternity? Can we take a pride in the fact that the ideas of social justice is beyond anything and everything? Nobody can touch it. No. Why it has happened? It has happened because what we did, we started taking things for granted. As I said earlier, that you had a cultural movement which translated in the realm of politics in Tamil Nadu. North India did not have movement of that. North India depended on electoral arithmetic to change the government. Ideas were never challenged. And please have a clarity on these two things. You can defeat a party in an election. You have just won an election in Tamil Nadu. But in terms of defeating an idea, which is anti-constitution, which is anti-federalism, which is anti everything which possibly we hold very, very dear, is only possible when we have a cultural social movement which goes beyond the boundaries of the state. That is where, for instance, when we today say equality for all, and the most progressive and liberal voice, you scratch them from here, you would find under the garb of equality for all, there is a tendency to perpetuate inequality, whether in terms of education. I mean, imagine Rohit Vemula writing a letter and going from this world. That letter is a living testimony to the fact that the goals of social justice, the idea of social justice, has not been achieved. We have much more roadblocks today than we ever had since 1947, or to be precise, since the adoption of the Constitution in 1950. Now, do we understand the magnitude of this challenge? I wish to say we don't. We don't. We don't understand the magnitude of this challenge. We have a general feeling that, look, this phase we shall win next election. Sandeep ji was saying that, and ultimately his argument also came on leader, that who is going to lead. That is succumbing to the pressure of the market. It's about transformatory politics. It's about emancipatory politics. In politics of emancipation, you don't look for a messiah to deliver you a good. You look for a program. You look for a content. You look for those deliberative aspects of a transformatory politics which can usher you into a new era or an old era which was much more progressive. That's my second or third line of argument which I would put here. Now, if I recently was reading MS Gore, and he talked about social location of a leader. Then I tried understanding Periyar, because I have read two of his books very recently, which a publisher gave me for a review. Periyar, Ambedkar, even Anna. Now, if you look at these lives and their social location, I'll tell you one instance which I share with my friends. In Satara school, where Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar was studying, he was very good in mathematics. So one day, the teacher asked Babasaheb to come and solve a mathematical puzzle on the blackboard. It is to put in the, it is to share here that behind the blackboard, upper caste people or everybody used to put their tiffin boxes. So the moment they saw Babasaheb reaching to the blackboard, they started withdrawing, taking out their tiffin box, and there's a crackling of sound. So while in Colombia, Babasaheb wrote that the crackling sound of the taking away of the tiffin boxes behind the blackboard, because the upper caste people thought that their food shall be contaminated, that crackling sound disturbed him for very many years, after so many years while he was in Colombia. Let me share with you, that crackling sound is even today. I was listening to Dhanidharan and others about merit. And again, I would narrate a personal story. I was born to two university professors. My father was a university professor. My mother was a university professor. When I was a child, I saw more books in my home than toys or any other thing. I grew up with books. While I had a batchmate who was a first generation student from his family. He was, in terms of today's jargon, he was very sharp, probably no less meritorious than me. He has lost in life. He's running a tea stall. I'm here talking to you. It's not merit. It's all about the merit of resources you are born with. And we have not been able to dent that access to resources even today. And particularly in the neoliberal regime, many of our friends, even from Ambedkarite movement, even from social justice parties, they thought neoliberalism shall take away lots of things which are ills of our society, ills of our system. The idea of graded inequality as a caste system, as a graded inequality, shall probably vanish with the neoliberalism. What actually happened? Neoliberalism has made the grip much more stronger. They are much more legitimizing agents today about the idea of graded inequality. There is much more than flag bearers of the idea of merit and so on and so competition and so many other things. Before going on to the penultimate line, I will tell you that we need to go back as a kind of uh, in the trajectory of social justice movement, in the lifespan of social justice movement, we need to have a relook on the very idea of constitutional morality, which in the Constituent Assembly itself, Baba Sahib said, it's not a naturally grown sentiment in India. It is even now, constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment in India. In 1949, he said it needs to be cultivated. I repeat, after 72 years, 7 decades and 2 years, it needs much more fertilizers for cultivation. I think that's something which we must, and finally, I would rather close it by saying that apart from the social cultural barrier, today we also have a psychological barrier, and in order to have a complete say a grip of things, and probably a kind of situation where Rohit Vemulas don't happen. He doesn't have to write a letter while he wanted to be a Carl Sagan, and he can only write something like Carl Sagan in his last letter. Let's hope that by virtue of these kind of arrangements, we can do that, and we can make sure that no more Rohit Vemulas. And finally, I repeat what I have said. I have spoken about it with Elangavanji, even in that special room which we enjoy at least twice or thrice a day when the parliament is in session, that electoral victories doesn't matter for parties and people committed to social justice. You have to win in the realm of ideas, and you have to fight the regressive ideas. Otherwise, what shall happen? We will win election and their ideas shall win. Thank you. This entire group, I would have gone on, but then this is something which I enjoyed, Dravidian Professional Forum. Thanks to you, and I commit myself once again, whenever you want me to come with you and talk, I shall be very happy to share stage with all of you. Thank you so much.